This is disgusting, this story. Absolutely disgusting. Now, Matthew Vaughn, who is a terrific director, did X-Men First Class that a lot of people loved, and a lot of other movies that I absolutely love that he's done. Well, a lot of you might remember that he was signed on to direct X-Men 3. I believe it was called Last Stand.
Yep.
X-Men 3 Last Stand. And then, due to scheduling conflicts, and that's the phrase that was given at the time, he had to move on from that, and the Rush Hour director, who... Brett Ratner had to step in and direct that film. By the way, the worst of the X-Men films, but better than its reputation. It had some things going. That last big battle scene when Magneto is flying like the torn up piece of the bridge and bringing all the other mutants over, like it had its moments. I thought Beast was great in that. Whatever.
I call it X-Men My Last Straw.
X-Men My Last Straw. So he was supposed to do it, but now we found out really why Matthew Vaughn left. This comes to us from Variety. Said this: one of the main reasons that I quit X-Men 3, and this is a true story, I went to an executive's office, this was when it was being made at Fox, and I saw an X3 script. It was a lot fatter. So I asked, what's this draft? They were like, don't worry about it. So I grabbed it and I opened the first page and it said, Africa, kids dying from no water, and storm creates a thunderstorm to save all these children. They said, this is the Halle Berry script because she hasn't signed on yet. This is what she wants it to be. And once she signs on, we'll throw it in the bin. I thought, if you're going to do that to an Oscar-winning actress who plays Storm, I quit. First of all, let me just talk about this as an aside. Good on Matthew Vaughn. Good on Matthew Vaughn. I mean, I already love this guy. I think he's fantastic. But hearing this, you walk in, it's like, wait a minute. You are going through, you actually had a 200-page script, fake script, written just so you can con one of the pillar actors in our franchise and an Academy Award winner, to defraud them, to trick them into being in the movie. You're going to straight up lie. You're going to present her with this script saying, this is our script, when you know full well it's not, and you're just lying to them. If you're going to do that to her, what are you going to do to me? Now, remember, Fox Studios, as it was, no longer exists. It's still called Fox. It's under Disney now, but all different executives there now. It's a completely different ship. But, I mean, I'd look at that and say, yeah, no, I'm never working with you again. Like, that is some terrible, terrible stuff. So good on Matthew Vaughn. Now, according to the story that was in Variety, it went on, it's like, Storm clearly did have a more elevated position in the movie. Clearly that Africa scene was nowhere to be found in X-Men The Last Stand, but her character was elevated a little bit more than she had been in previous movies. I mean, she didn't have any gold nuggets like what happens to a toad when it gets hit by lightning. Same thing that happens to everything else. Man, that's an old time classic. That's right up there with Show Me the Money. But I mean, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of this video, Fume. Quitting cold turkey is great in theory, but you and I both know it's way more difficult than that. And that's why there's a better way to break your bad habits. We're not talking about some fake online promises. We're talking about our sponsor, Fume. And they look at the problem in a different way. Instead of a drastic, uncomfortable change, why not just remove the bad from your habit? Fume is an innovative, award-winning flavor air device that does just that. See, instead of vapor, Fume uses flavored air. Instead of electronics, Fume is completely natural. And instead of harmful chemicals, Fume uses delicious flavors. You get it. Instead of bad, Fume is good. It's a habit you're free to enjoy and makes replacing your bad habit easy. I personally didn't know what to expect when I first got my Fume. I mean, I've never liked vapes, but my goodness, the taste. The first time I tried it, I was completely sold on it. It was incredible. Stopping is something we all put off because it's hard, but switching to Fume is easy, enjoyable, and even fun. Fume has served over 150,000 customers and has thousands of success stories, and there's no reason that can't be you. Join Fume in accelerating humanity's breakup from destructive habits by picking up the Journey Pack today. Head to tryfume.com and use the code Campea to save 10% off when you get the Journey Pack today. That's tryfum.com and use the code Campea to save an additional 10% off your order today. It's just, I read that today, Rob. Like, we all know the studios and executives. Look, let's face it. everyone in Hollywood, actors, writers, directors, studio executives, whatever, they can all stab a lot of backs to get what they want. I get it. But this to me, I found particularly despicable. What did you think about when you read this?
Well, yeah, it was not good, John. And I will say this, what I found interesting about this was when I was hired to do the X-Men and X-Men 2 special features, there was a thought, the X-Men was called X-Men 1.5. And Brian was going to shoot 2 scenes that were going to go into a new cut of X-Men 1. One of them was Storm's origin. So I'm wondering, because it was written, did they repurpose those things? And it was also Cyclops' origin was going to be dealt with. And they took that stuff out of the X-Men 1.5 stuff because studios repurpose material. And they created this draft. But even so, the idea that they would trick an actor, an Oscar-winning actor, get them to sign on, and once the contract is dry, the I's are dotted, the T's are crossed, that they would pull something like this? What do they think the actor's going to do? I mean, and by the way, this kind of thinking tends to dominate Hollywood. And it makes no sense. I've seen this kind of thinking get in the way of so many projects. And you hear something like this, like Matthew Vaughn, because Matthew Vaughn has his collaborator, I forget her name right off the top of my head, but she frequently writes with him. And the two of them together have written some great material. And I'm sure this was wildly offensive to him. Wildly offensive. And he, like you said, he'd be like, I can't even imagine what he was thinking. Like, you really would try and, do you think that she's not going to understand? Like, it's the thinking that you're going to get away with that? You think you're not going to cause a problem that's going to come on me as the director of the movie? You're an idiot. So this kind of behavior is unacceptable on any level.
Yeah, I don't get it. And, it reminds me of something. I shouldn't tell this story, but I will. But I'm going to keep it as vague as I can. So back in my either AMC or Collider days, I was approached by another company to come and take over something else. And I remember in my first conversation with them, it was, that's really odd because I knew the person who was currently running it. And I said, that's rather odd because I just talked to them like 2 weeks ago. I had no idea they were leaving. And their EVP said to me, well, they don't know they're leaving. And I remember I went and talked to Ann about it. And I went back to them and I said, well, like, here's the thing. Look, the offer looks nice and all that kind of stuff. But the very fact that you reached out and you're talking to me when this person doesn't even know you're replacing them. I said, look, all due respect, but you're not the type of person I want to be working for. I don't think I'd want to work for you because I don't think I'd ever trust. I didn't tell them this word for word, but in my head, I'm thinking, I don't think I'd ever trust a single thing you'd ever tell me. You can make me all these guarantees right now. I have full creative control, blah, blah, blah. But why should I believe you now? You're going behind somebody else's back. What are you going to do to me? So, I mean, and maybe that's why when I read this story, it like kind of touched a nerve with me a little bit. It's like, ooh, that's despicable.
And then they went on to build Cast Media.
With a K. Yeah. K with a cast. They went on to form the empire. It is Cast Media. I'm sure my $100,000 check is going to show up any day now. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this video. Make sure you like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget, we have a daily podcast called the John Campea Show podcast, available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcasting app of choice. Go and subscribe to it today so it'll be there when you need it.